Now that you say before we get to another big election, we understand we're counting down to elections in Kogi and Bayelsa state. I'm sure you understand they are big elections. I mean, for people in that state and for Nigeria at large. And one major issue is voter confidence and election security. And I mean, there were statistics that came up, and I'm sure you agree that this past election perhaps saw, low turnout compared to the expectation. And I'm sure you probably agree with that. So the question is, how is the commission working to handle that voter confidence and especially election security, since one depends on the other?
Well, the Kogi and Bayelsa elections will be difficult elections, and we admit, because these two states have had a history of electoral violence. But based on that, and based on what we are hearing from the critical stakeholders, we are going to move into Bayelsa and Kogi state early enough to build the confidence of the voters and confidence of the critical stakeholders. So we are going to move in on time and hold meetings with the religious leaders, with civil society groups and organizations, with political parties, with the security agencies, and with all the critical stakeholders to make sure that, one, that all the political parties understand the fact that with their party primary elections, they must conform to the provisions of Section 87 of the Electoral Act and Section 31 of the Electoral Act. Secondly, we are also going to carry out robust voter education to make sure that our people understand the processes and procedures of the commission. And then we're also going to build the confidence of the people and make them understand that the commission is ready to organize an election that the people will be proud of.
Okay, another thing that has come up time and again is the electoral reform bill. Yes. So the question is, how much is the commission pushing to ensure that this becomes law, in the light of the fact that we've seen recommendations time and again, not just from election observer missions, but there have been panels in Nigeria that have given recommendations. So how much is the commission pushing to have these, the new electoral reform bill put into law?
Well, it's part of the issues we are putting on the table for all the critical stakeholders. You know that the Independent National Electoral Commission is not the lawmaking organ of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. So what we are trying to do is to ginger all these critical stakeholders to begin to harvest some of the issues we consider fundamental in our electoral process. We are also putting all these issues in a basket, and we are going to harvest them, and then we house them, and then wait for the other critical stakeholders to also harvest their own, so that we can have some level of consensus on what are the critical issues that needs alteration to the Constitution, and the critical issues that needs amendment to the Electoral Act. But some of the things we have identified are that, one, we need to have a new timeline for the resolution of all pre-election matters.
Right.
Because the existing timeline, for instance, we believe is not working and it's not workable. We prefer a situation where we can have all the pre-election litigations disposed of before we go into an election, right, so that we can have some level of certainty in the electoral process.
Okay, on a final note,
yes,
I'd like to ask you, we're counting down to November. Does the commission have enough time to put some of these recommendations in place? If you can respond in 30 seconds, do you think you have enough time?
The ones that we can do administratively, we will carry them out. The ones that need legislative intervention, if a new law comes into being before then, we will implement them, but we can implement the ones that needs administrative intervention.
So you're promising Nigerians smooth election process?
We are going to do our best to make sure that we conduct a good election.
All right, we've been speaking with Mr. Festus Okoye, INEC's National Commissioner. Thank you so much for sharing your thoughts with us on the program.
Thank you so much.